Migration has always been a powerful force, shaping the world we live in and the stories we share. Today, we'll take a journey through time, exploring how migration has impacted humanity from the earliest days to modern times. This is not just a story of movement, but of survival, curiosity, struggle, and change. To understand the roots of migration, we need to go back to when early humans, like Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, roamed the earth. They were constantly on the move, driven by the search for food, safety, and new territories. Their path from Africa to Europe marks some of the earliest known large-scale migrations in history. While some groups followed the coastlines of the Mediterranean or the North Sea to reach Europe, other migrations were even more daring and complex. Imagine these early humans traveling along coastal routes that stretched all the way to Australia. They navigated across vast and dangerous seas, hopping from one island to the next. Others took inland paths, moving northward along China's coasts, eventually reaching Siberia. From there, they crossed the frozen Bering Strait and ventured into the Americas, braiding as far south as what we now know as Chile. Thousands of years before recorded history, humans were already capable of such ambitious migrations. Then, around 12,000 years ago, a significant change occurred. Up until that time, all humans were nomadic, without permanent homes. But in the Middle East, small groups started to settle down and form the world's first permanent communities. Contrary to popular belief, it wasn't necessarily food scarcity that drove them to stay in one place. Recent theories suggest they chose areas rich in natural resources, like marshlands and regions where different climates met, where food was readily available without the need to roam. Migration isn't just recorded in archaeological findings. It's deeply embedded in the stories and myths of ancient civilizations. The Bible, for example, is filled with tales of migration, from the expulsion of Adam and Eve from Eden to Noah's descendants, repopulating the earth after the flood, and Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt across the Red Sea. These stories, written by and for people familiar with the challenges of migration, give us a glimpse into how movement was perceived thousands of years ago. While some accounts may not align perfectly with historical records, they capture the essence of human resilience and the hardships of displacement. As we move into more detailed historical records, migration reveals its power to reshape civilizations. During the decline of the Roman Empire, massive movements of people marked a period of upheaval. The Huns, moving westward through Europe, disrupted established societies, but never made it to Rome or the Atlantic. The Goths, pushed by the advancing Huns, managed to reach the Atlantic and even took control of parts of the northern Mediterranean. The Vandals embarked on a particularly complex journey, crossing Central Europe, Spain, Morocco, and eventually taking Carthage, before pushing north to Sicily and Rome. These migrations weren't just movements. They were pivotal events that changed the course of history. In discussing migration's impact on history, we can't overlook the Aryan migration theory that took hold in the 19th and 20th centuries. This idea, claiming that Aryans were a Nordic race with specific traits like fair skin and blue eyes, went beyond academic discussion and fed dangerous ideologies. Figures like Houston Stewart Chamberlain spread these beliefs, which influenced Nazi ideology and led to the adoption of the swastika, an ancient Indian symbol, as their emblem. This is a stark reminder of how migration narratives can be manipulated to support harmful ideas. But not all migration stories are rooted in conquest or racial theories. The Vikings offer a fascinating example of migration, driven by exploration and survival. These seafarers traveled vast distances, covering over 2,000 kilometers. In different directions, they reached Iceland, Greenland, and even the coast of Canada to the northwest, sailed southwest to Britain and France, and ventured southeast through Russia to the Black Sea and Constantinople. Their reasons varied: overpopulation, the desire for wealth and power, or simple curiosity. But their journeys were about much more than raiding. They were about discovery and trade, leaving a lasting impact on many cultures. No discussion on migration would be complete without acknowledging the darkest chapters, such as the transatlantic slave trade. Over 12 million Africans were forced from their homes and transported across the Atlantic. The journey was brutal, with over 1 million dying before they even reached the coast, and around 2 million perishing during the crossing. This forced migration changed the demographics of continents and left deep scars that still affect societies today. Remembering these stories is vital to understanding the full impact of migration throughout history. There are also personal migration stories that echo through time. Consider Joseph Kearney, an Irish shoemaker who left his village during the Great Famine and made his way to Ohio, USA. His story mirrors the experiences of countless Irish migrants who sought a better life. Remarkably, Kearney's lineage would eventually include Barack Obama, the 44th President of the United States. This shows how migration shapes not just individual lives, but entire generations. Moving into the 19th century, migration became more organized, but remained controversial. When Chinese and other East Asian immigrants arrived in the United States, Europe, and Australia, fear and xenophobia led to the concept of the Yellow Peril. This term symbolized the widespread suspicion of East Asians as a threat. Such stigmas had long-lasting impacts on immigration policies and societal attitudes. And now, in the present day, migration remains a complex and debated issue. Discussions about borders, citizenship, and the inequality of movement are more relevant than ever. Programs like Golden Visas allow the wealthy to buy citizenship, while countless others undertake perilous journeys just for the chance at a better life. This stark contrast highlights how uneven the playing field is when it comes to freedom of movement. For some, crossing borders is a simple process. For others, it is a desperate gamble. Heraclitus once said, "All things flow." Migration is not just an aspect of human history. It is at the heart of who we are. To truly understand migration is to recognize our shared roots and the journeys that have brought us to this point. Migration is not an anomaly, it is an integral part of the human story. We are all, in one way or another, descendants of migrants, tied together by a shared legacy that spans continents and centuries. And with that, we conclude today's exploration of migration. If you found this journey insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join us next time as we continue to uncover the stories that shape our world. Thanks for being here with us.